I'm Anita White. I'm a life coach with WhiteLighter Coaching Quest in Stillwater, Minnesota. Welcome to my show, Coaching Conversations. The focus of the show is to just have a light conversation with someone in the community about how they feel about their divine purpose and how we set intentions for our life. So today I have a light conversation with Barb Hoffman. Welcome, Barb.
Thanks, Anita.
So Barb, tell me a little bit about you and your life.
Well, I grew up in a large family, so I grew up in a family of 7, and I really think that it has been for me in the last 6, 7, 8 years that I have really become aware of my purpose in life and growing into that and being comfortable. So, you know, coming from a family of 7, I was 5th out of 7. So I spent a lot of time just navigating life and navigating the family system. And so it's taken me a while to heal from some of those things and to get to a point where I'm ready to fly, really.
Okay.
Yep.
So did you have a topic you wanted to talk about today? Tell me.
Well, you know, I've been in transition for a while with my career. So I started out as a waitress, and right now I'm doing some leasing with an apartment complex that I work for, and I also do some caretaking there.
Okay.
I am finishing up my degree in gerontology at Metropolitan State University, and my passion is to work with the elderly population.
Okay.
So that is my end goal.
Okay. So when you say work with the elderly population, what kind of things would you do with the elderly population? What kind of work is that?
Well, what that looks like for me today is that I really want to do health insurance counseling with them, help them try to navigate the system because it's very confusing, no matter what age you are. And I think that all most people need is just to know that they matter and that there's someone there to help them. So for me, it's just about being of service and being able to help them to get the best coverage for their what their needs are, and try to figure those out.
Have you helped someone before with this? So
I have.
So give me an example. How would that look?
So I just completed my internship at Metropolitan Area Agency on Aging, and I was on the phone bank. So, for example, a 97-year-old woman called in, and she was 87, sorry, and she needed to figure out her enrollment for this period that has just passed. And she was looking to see if what she was paying previously she could find at a cheaper rate. So what I do is go and I take all her basic information. I take her, I totally lost it just now. I take her health information and her drug information. I can input all of that into a system. And then on the phone with her, she and I can talk about and figure out what would be the best plan for her. Okay. Sometimes that can take 10 minutes, sometimes that can take up to an hour. So whatever amount of time they need, that is what I'm there for. So
that's
wonderful.
I love it. That's wonderful. That sounds like a great divine entrance to other people's lives. So I want to know more about your transition and some of the things that you've gone through, not necessarily details, but just things that have helped you, that have you focus on differently, just the transitions you were talking about when we first started talking.
Well, I think that for me, I spent a number of years really surviving and kind of keeping who I was on the down low. I have a stronger personality. I have a sense of humor and a lot of those kind of qualities. And yet in the messages I heard were it was okay to be this to a certain point, and then that was enough. Yeah. So I've spent a lot of time healing and just becoming who is Barb. Who's Barb Hoffman? Who am I? I'm a mom. I have a son who's 19, who is the greatest. And he's probably been one of my greatest teachers. I've learned more about who I am through him. And being okay with who I am instead of I need to be more. Being I'm just fine just the way I am, and it's okay.
You know, there was a period of time in my life where I felt like I wasn't being seen. The real light wasn't shining through, that I was this idea people projected on who I was. And so I did a lot of soul searching on how I could just be unique and authentic and not care so much about what they were thinking and what they were projecting on me and what their idea of me was. But there were a lot of years where I'd go home to my family and I felt like I was pretending my way through because there was no way for me to say, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. Because it couldn't change their thinking about me. But it could change my thinking about me. And to have that light in you saying, this is who I am, and to be solid in that, and this is what my purpose is, you know, what's the next step for you?
Well, you know, what I have come to realize is that I matter. And what I do matters. And the purpose that I have is that I just want people to know, and especially the elderly population, because once we reach a certain age in our society, I think we become invisible.
Right.
And there is nothing more honorable than a life that has been long-lived. And I just want individuals and people and to know that they matter, and that what they have to say and what they've done with their lives is important. I spent a lot of years combating that invisibility, and I still can combat that at times. But for me now, it's okay for me to be strong, it's okay for me to be smart, it's okay for me to be all those things that they say on Saturday Night Live. But I just want people to know they matter. And I think with the elderly population, they can sense that. They know when you really care and when you're being authentic versus just trying to make a living. And that's not what I'm here for. That is not what I'm here for at all.
So what are you here for?
I think that I'm here because you asked me to be here today.
Why are you on the planet, Barb? Tell me, why are you on the planet?
I'm on the planet to be a student and to be a teacher. I'm here to I think, give more than I take away. That's my goal. My goal is to just give more than I get. And to walk in God's grace, and to know that no matter how much I do, I'm always, the wealth that I have in my life is all about God's grace and what's been given to me. I haven't earned it. It's really just been, you know what, here, just because, that's all, just because. And it's okay. I think the other thing that I'm here for really is that it's okay just to be who you are and to be real. You know, I think I spent a lot of years, especially in high school, where I thought, I said what I thought people wanted to hear. I acted how I thought people wanted me to be. And there was something within me that was really crying out, like, just be who you are. And that's what I say to people. It's just like, you know what, we all make mistakes. I'm here to just share my experience in my life, and I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also had a lot of successes as a result of those. So.
Well, I know I told my story a little bit this morning to some women, and what I really realized is that what tied us, what really solidified their connection with me, is that some of them identified with my wounds. And what, you know, this is just kind of minor feedback, but it's almost as if you can see that there's a space with the elderly that because they aren't being served well, that it will create a wound, and you were running out in front of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
You were running out in front of that to help them heal before it's too late. You know, that the end years of their life are not going to be more traumatized and more insignificant.
Yes.
Because they don't have the resource that they need, and that resource being you.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm kind of like, love my affirmations. Louise Hay offers me many, many affirmations. And as you were sharing, I was thinking about Barb is in her right and perfect place. So I want you to think about that and bring that in the I tone and say, I am in my right and perfect place. Everything comes to me exactly how I need it and want it.
I am in my perfect place. Everything that comes to me is exactly how I need it and how I want it.
How does that feel when you say that?
I get, I get joyful. Because I really believe that.
Yeah.
The evidence of my life has been nothing but that. So,
Woo.
that's awesome.
Right. We talked some about that divine purpose. So I want to just expand a little bit on that idea and tell me how you set your intentions, or how you think you're setting your intentions for bringing that into your now. So you're doing that kind of work all the time. I know that you've set other intentions in your life and you've created and manifested those. So tell me kind of what's in the works now for that intention to be in the now instead of later on, you know, when you get a job or whatever. What kind of things are you doing now?
You know, I think one of the things I'm doing is that I really am focusing on being in the moment and being connected with that source that your last guest talked about. And just that inner source of I have all the power that I need, and it's given to me through that greater source. And I really, that's how I start my day.
Yeah.
And when I get lost and into my humanness and my head, I have to really go back to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just sitting and being quiet. Not for very long, but just that place where I am soft and gentle and good, and that pureness of God really comes through. It's a gift that I'm given, so it's not something I'm really working for. I'm just present to receive it.
You know, I just heard some things that are, I don't want to say incongruent, but you want to give more than you receive, but you're ready to receive. And from my map of the world, that receiving and giving are in the same one kind of cell idea, that none of us give more than we get. That if we set that as an obvious thing out here, we can see that for ourselves. Because some of us just, from our mind's eye, see that we live in lack. But we really live in abundance because of the messages that we received as little kids or as growing up or whatever. We have kind of this baseline of what that means to have abundance or prosperity. So on any given day, we can look like we're in poverty, or on any given day, we look like we're living in the gold because of that perspective that we have. So when you think about that message that you've told yourself, that I'm here to give more than I receive, then that's what you're setting your intention to do. So when you think about, I receive everything that I need, and I give everything that I need to give, it's leveling the playing field. So you're not sending that out to the universe that I need to give more in order to receive a little.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when you're in that place where you're sad or you're negative, in that place, think about how you're receiving. I mean, a lot of us think that I'll go out and do some more things for other people and I'll feel good about myself. Sometimes that doing for other people, means that we're doing it for ourselves first. To be intentional. I know I'll feel better if I go and I talk to Anita. And I know that she's probably at some stuff there that she needs to talk about. It's an equal exchange.
Right.
We don't want to create a void where we're giving in any area of our life that we're not receiving. And I've had to reel my life in a bit and go, is this opportunity, is this board, is this relationship, is this thing that I'm doing, is it serving me? And it's a very selfish thing, but when we do that, it's like, is the universe, is God, we have that divine inside of us, so if it's serving us, then we're able to manifest more, not just for ourselves, but the people that in contact with us. So setting an intention that when I'm in that place where I know that I need to help somebody else in order to feel better about myself, I need to know about how that's going to serve me first. And that's not a selfish thing. It's a I want to say centered on self thing.
Right.
Because we know what that other person probably needs intuitively. And more of us are doing that where we're, Barb needs to talk to me, I'm going to call her. And you haven't even said, I need to talk to you that day, or you need a text from me. And I try and do that with a lot of people where it's like, who needs to hear from me today? And I tune into that, and then I send a text message or an email or something that I think will reach them. And more times than not, it's sending it out into that energetic field that brings that energy into that person that needs my love. And I see that happening with you too, where you're, there are people, you already have them lining up, and the elderly that really need Barb. And that it seems to me to be like a really cool image, to know that those people will not be invisible to you, and that because you've had that experience, you'll be able to look soul to soul, heart to heart, and give them what they need and want. And that's an even exchange. Because you know, and I know, we're going to come to the end of our life. And it's almost like we're sending it forward and paying it forward so that at the end of our life, when we're in those places where we need resources, we need people to advocate for us, and we need a soft face and a soft voice to give that to us, that we're creating that in advance for ourselves as well. So they're setting an intention. Someday I will be them, and how will I want to be treated? So therefore, that's what I'm sending out there.
That's excellent, because you articulated exactly what I think. So that's exactly my purpose. It's like, you know what, I'm just doing what I know that I will reach someday. So, yeah, that's great.
That's wonderful.
Well, and what's really helpful too is the balance of, receiving as well as giving. That is a piece that that I've really been having to work on. So I appreciate that, you pointing that out to me, because it's something that I have been working on, especially in the last, just for a little bit here. And the rewards I get from it are make me more conscientious of my time, but also of who and what I want to spend my time doing. So, and some of that's just being with me.
It's nice when you're your own best friend. You have to have anybody there to entertain yourself.
Yeah, especially when you think you're the funniest.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
You got it. You got it exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, it's coming kind of to the end of our time. So is there something that you want to share? Is anything that we missed along the way, or last thoughts? Or
I think for me, what I think about is walking in grace, quietly, but also with what I've been given, and don't hide that. It's okay to have the qualities and the gifts that I have, because they're given to me.
Yeah.
So
you were so compassionate, and you were so funny.
Thanks.
I love it. It's like there's always humor with Barb. Even when you're dark, you have this, and then you say something funny, and it just busts a gut.
Thanks.
I just love that about you.
Oh, thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Well, that's the conclusion of our show. I'm Anita White. I'm a life coach with WhiteLighter Coaching Quest here in Stillwater, Minnesota. Thank you so much for coming and tuning in again today. And I just want to tell you this last thought, and that is, no matter what you think you are so much more than that.